Today we're talking about 5 tips for ex-Mormon moms. As an ex-Mormon mom myself, and my niche specialty as a therapist is treating ex-Mormon moms with religious trauma and who are processing what motherhood looks like after leaving Mormonism. These are the most common things I talk about with clients, my most common advice, and I hope you can find something that will help you in this video today. Tip number 1, and this is no surprise, it's one of those things that's much harder to do than to understand. You need time in your schedule every single week that places you outside of your role as a mother. A huge part of a faith deconstruction and a faith transition is getting reacquainted with your core self, with your identity, with deconstructing the layers of conditioning that have been placed upon you. And it is honestly really hard to do that when you're changing diapers and chasing toddlers and fighting with your teenagers. You need time alone. And if I were to give you a practical recommendation for that, it would be 3 hours a week of alone time. You need 1 hour to feel guilty about being away from your family, 1 hour to relax into it, and 1 hour to anticipate going back to the chaos. And what you do during this time is anything that feels good to you. And maybe at the beginning, it's practicing figuring out what feels good to you. This could be going and laying by the neighborhood pool, or going on a walk, or going hiking, or going out to lunch by yourself. Or maybe it's hanging out with friends, or reading a book in a coffee shop, or going to get a drink by yourself. Who knows what it is? It doesn't really matter what it is. It matters that you are choosing it, that you're having this alone time, that you're connecting with yourself, and that you're rebuilding your identity outside of Mormonism and outside of motherhood. The next tip I have specifically for those of you who are in the deep years of parenting is to not obsess with the parenting research. You do not need to obsess with what the research says, what the experts are saying, what everyone else is doing. You're used to having a strong external authority figure in your life if you grew up Mormon, and it's really easy to then want that in every area of your life as you leave the church. Honestly, I'm guessing you probably know enough to be an amazing parent. You just have to trust yourself and put what you know into practice. Another truth that I know is if you are your kid's mother, that is serendipitous, that is meant to be what's best for your kid, way more than any expert is ever going to know. Number 3 is do not overcomplicate explaining your faith transition to your kids. Use the language of differentiation when you don't know what to say. Framing things they have questions about, like some people like this and some people like that. Some mommies like to go to the temple and some mommies don't. Grandma likes to go to church here and mommy likes to go to church here. Keep it age appropriate and just answer the question they ask. If they're asking, Mommy, why don't we go to church anymore? You can just say, Mommy used to really like that church, but she doesn't anymore. And I'm having a better time connecting with God through spending time in the backyard with you on Sunday afternoons. And as they ask more, you can answer more, but oftentimes the kids just want the answer to the one question that they have. This is an opportunity for you to practice the uncertainty of not having the perfect answer. In Mormonism, you had all the answers, you had all these primary answers, and it can be hard when you don't. But just because it's hard doesn't mean that it's wrong or bad, it's just new. Tip number 4, instead of focusing on teaching your kids everything you didn't know because you grew up Mormon, focus instead on teaching them core values and habits that build a good foundation. So this is going to start with you figuring out what your core values are. Kindness, compassion, family, nature, political activism, patriotism, efficiency, organization. Your core values could be anything, but you figuring out your core values, maybe your spouse figuring out their core values, and then figuring out what are the top 3, 4, 5 values we want to teach our kids, and focusing on those instead of trying to teach your kids everything. You're not going to be able to teach your kids everything, especially right now. You're going to be able to teach your kids a lot over the 18 years that they're going to be in your home. But starting with the core values instead of overcorrecting, the temptation to overcorrect and give our kids all the freedom and all the resources that we didn't have because we grew up in high demand religion is real. But teaching your kids core values and good habits like family dinner, honesty, kindness, you can always talk to mom and dad, take good care of your body. This is how you be a good friend. This is how you apologize. Just sticking with the basics, good habits, good values, is going to keep you from burning out on trying to overcorrect from your history. Tip number 5, and this is probably the most important, is going to make the biggest difference in your mental health when it comes to motherhood after Mormonism, is building a village. Mormonism is amazing at giving you a village, and some people believe it's an illusion of a village because it's all pretty circumstantial. But you need a group of other people who support you, who are there for you, who can bring you dinner when you have surgery, and who can help you out when you need it. I know it can be scary because you're going to have to put yourself out there, and it can feel unknown, especially since those of us who grew up Mormon, this thought was placed in our head that the world is dangerous and scary and worldly people are bad. But as you deconstruct that and realize everyone is just human beings and there's beauty and friendship to be found anywhere, rebuilding a village gets a lot easier. Some practical tips with building a village is to, 1, be an inviter, because that's what you can control. You can't control if the other moms in the neighborhood are going to invite you to their game night, but you can control who you invite. Don't take things personally. If you are inviting someone and they are not reciprocating, do not take it personally. There's so many reasons why we say no to things, why we don't respond to texts, why we don't show up to things, that you don't always know the full story. So just don't take it personally. Another tip is that it's a numbers game. The more people you talk to, the more people you invite to the park, the more game nights you organize in your backyard, the more likely you are to come in contact with the 3 or 4 people that become your core village. And the last thing is that research shows that the biggest predictor of life satisfaction is having a community of people around you. So it is worth the investment of time, energy, and resources to build this village. You have the social skills to do this. You just need some of the courage and to let go of some of the negative beliefs you have about yourself or socializing. And the more you get yourself out there and do it, the easier it's going to be. Those are my 5 tips for ex-Mormon moms from my own experience and my work with my clients. And I'm curious, what tips do you have for yourself when you were on the beginning of this journey, or maybe tips that you might have for another ex-Mormon mom? Let me know in the comments and click subscribe so you get notified of my next video.